Not Bacon was no ordinary pig. Born on a small, family-run farm deep in the heart of the countryside, he was the standout from the moment he entered the world. Most pigs on Old Hollow Farm were, well, pigs. They ate, slept, rolled around in the mud, and didn't give much thought to anything else. But not Bacon? He was different, smarter, sharper, and way too cool for the ordinary farm life. Old Hollow Farm wasn't a place where pigs lived long lives, if you catch my drift. The name, Not Bacon, was given to him as a joke by the farmer's son, a teenage boy who always had a bit of a rebellious streak. "This one's not going to the butcher," he declared when the piglet first arrived, naming him, Not Bacon, to give him a fate different from the others. And somehow, the name stuck. What started as a joke became a mission for Not Bacon. It was as if from that very moment, he knew his purpose was bigger than the farm. Right away, Not Bacon was different from his siblings. While they were busy rolling around in the mud and scrambling for feed, he was watching the farm's people, studying their movements, learning their habits, and figuring out the patterns of the day. He even started to mimic them in small ways, standing up on his hind legs to peer over fences, using his snout to unlatch gates, and somehow always being where he wasn't supposed to be. He was mischievous, but in a clever way. There was a sharpness to his eyes that most animals didn't have. He watched the farmer, the animals, and the farmhands, picking up on the routines and knowing exactly when and where to make his move. Old Hollow Farm was an old-fashioned place. It was run by Farmer Dan, a gruff, no-nonsense man who didn't have time for the funny business of naming animals he intended to send to the butcher. But even Farmer Dan had to admit there was something special about Not Bacon. He wasn't like the other pigs. He was always one step ahead, sneaking out of his pen, finding hidden food scraps, and even managing to avoid the dreaded weigh-in days when his fellow pigs were rounded up for the market. Not Bacon wasn't just clever, he was downright charming. The farmhands loved him. He had a way of wriggling out of trouble and into the hearts of anyone who crossed his path. Farmer Dan's wife, Mrs. Hilda, took a particular liking to him. She'd sneak him extra apple cores and scratch his ears when no one was looking. "This one's got personality," she'd say with a chuckle. And she was right. Not Bacon had more personality than most people in the town. As he grew, Not Bacon started to develop a sense of adventure. Life on Old Hollow Farm was too small for him. He began slipping out of the farm more and more, wandering the nearby woods, visiting the neighboring farms, and even making friends with animals on the other side of the fence. There was something about the freedom, the wide open spaces, and the thrill of sneaking around that appealed to him. He was a pig with big dreams, and Old Hollow Farm was starting to feel a little too confined. One day, Not Bacon's wanderlust got the better of him. While exploring the edge of the farm, he came across a strange and intriguing scent on the wind. It was something new, something different, and Not Bacon's curiosity got the best of him. He followed the scent through the woods, down the winding dirt paths, until he came across a farm unlike any he'd seen before. Whimsey Woods Farm. Whimsey Woods Farm wasn't like Old Hollow. There was something magical about the place. The air was fresher, the animals seemed happier, and the whole place had a sense of wonder that was missing from the rigid, routine life of Old Hollow. Not Bacon could tell right away. This was where he belonged. He watched from a distance for a while, observing the farm's residents. There was Cluck Norris, the rooster who strutted around like he owned the place. Not Bacon couldn't help but admire his confidence, even if he thought Cluck took himself a bit too seriously. Then there was Sunflower, the gentle horse who seemed content to dream her days away, and Junior, the mule who had a reputation for being stubborn but with a good heart. And, of course, there were Wilma and Gus, the humans who seemed to keep the whole place running with a sense of warmth and care that Not Bacon hadn't felt at Old Hollow. Not Bacon knew he had to find a way into Whimsey Woods Farm. He wasn't meant to live out his days in the mud, waiting for the inevitable. No, he had bigger plans. And so, with his usual cleverness, he slipped through the fence and started making himself at home. He began by charming the other animals, flashing his signature coolness and winning them over one by one. Cluck Norris was the first to notice the newcomer, but even the tough-as-nails rooster couldn't deny that Not Bacon had something special about him. It didn't take long before Wilma spotted him. She'd never seen a pig quite like him, so full of life and personality. Gus, of course, grumbled about another mouth to feed, but even he couldn't resist the charm of Not Bacon for long. And so, Not Bacon became a permanent fixture at Whimsey Woods Farm. But he wasn't just another animal on the farm. He was the cool pig, the one who could talk his way out of trouble, make friends with anyone, and always seem to be in the right place at the right time. He brought a new energy to the farm, and it wasn't long before he had everyone wrapped around his curly little tail.
You know, Hilda, I've been meaning to talk to you about that pig of yours, Not Bacon, right? Quite the name he's got there.
Oh, you know how it is. My son named him. Thought it was funny, calling him that, but it stuck. And honestly, it suits him. He's not like the others, that's for sure.
I've heard stories. Gus was telling me that the other farmhands say he's got more brains than most pigs put together. Seems like he's been stirring things up over there at Old Hollow.
Stirring things up? That's putting it mildly, Wilma. That pig's more trouble than he looks, but he's got charm, I'll give him that. He's always finding ways out of the pen, sneaking around like he's too smart for his own good. But I'll tell you something, I can't help but love him for it.
Sounds like he's got the spirit for sure. You know, we've been thinking about bringing a pig over to Whimsey Woods. With the way Gus is always talking about him, I thought maybe Not Bacon would be the perfect fit.
You thinking about taking him off our hands, then? I won't lie, Wilma, it'd be a bit quieter round our place without him always getting into mischief. But I've gotten attached, even if he's a handful. What makes you think he'll fit in at Whimsey Woods?
Oh, we've got a way of letting animals be themselves over at our place. Cluck Norris keeps everyone in line, but there's always room for a little personality. Sunflower's as gentle as they come, and Junior, well, you know how stubborn he is. But I think Not Bacon would fit right in. He's smart, sounds like he's got a bit of sass to him, and I think he'd enjoy a place where he can roam free without causing too much trouble.
He's always had a wanderer's heart, that's for sure. I'm sure he'd love the space Whimsey Woods has to offer. And truth be told, we've got a lot going on at Old Hollow. Might be good for him to stretch his legs somewhere new, and I know you and Gus would keep him in line. Or at least try to.
We'll see about that. I'm sure Gus will grumble at first, but he's got a soft spot for animals like that, even if he won't admit it. And me, well, I think Not Bacon's just the kind of character we need at Whimsey Woods. He'll keep things lively.
You might be right. It'd be hard to say goodbye, but I think Not Bacon would love it at your place. You'll have to promise to bring him by when I visit Craftville, though. I've grown fond of that little troublemaker.
Oh, don't you worry. We'll take good care of him. And you can visit anytime. Who knows, maybe you'll get some peace and quiet without him around.
Peace and quiet? I might not know what to do with myself. But I think it's settled, then. Not Bacon's ready for a new adventure, and Whimsey Wood sounds like just the place for him.
Hey, Dan, how is that old tractor treating you? Looks like it has given you some trouble again.
This thing's always giving me trouble, Gus. Gonna need a miracle to get her running smooth again. But, part of the farming lifestyle, I reckon.
Ain't that the truth? Seems like something always needs fixing. Speaking of, Wilma has been talking to Hilda about taking that pig of yours, Not Bacon. Heard she is mighty fond of him. And now Wilma has got it in her head that he would be a good fit over at Whimsey Woods Farm.
Not Bacon, huh? That little rascal's been keeping us on our toes since the day he was born. Always sneaking out of the pen, causing trouble. But Hilda loves him. I will give her that. She's been spoiling him rotten. So, Wilma's thinking he would be better off with you folks?
Well, you know Wilma. She gets an idea in her head, and there's no stopping her. She says he got personality. Not sure how much personality a pig can have, but I have heard about how he is always outsmarting you. Figured maybe Whimsey Woods Farm could use another critter to keep things interesting.
Personality? That pig's got more personality than half the folks in town. Smart as a whip, too. Problem is, he's too smart for his own good sometimes. I've had to chase him out of the garden more times than I can count. But he's a good pig. I'll give him that. Just can't keep him pinned in.
Sounds like a real handful. Wilma thinks he will fit right in with our bunch, what with Cluck Norris strutting around like he owns the place, and Junior always causing some kind of ruckus. Not Bacon, just might be the spark. Those two need to keep them on their toes.
He'll definitely keep things lively, that's for sure. But Gus, you sure you're up for it? That pig's more trouble than you think. He's always 3 steps ahead, and once he's got something in his head, there's no talking him out of it. Might just give you a run for your money.
Oh, I ain't worried. I have handled tougher than a pig with a brain. Besides, if it keeps Wilma happy, what is one more mouth to feed? Figure we can make room for him. Maybe he will give Junior some competition for the most stubborn animal on the farm.
You might be right. I'd be lying if I said I won't miss him, though. He's a pain in the neck, but he's got charm. Hilda's gonna be heartbroken for a bit, but she's happy he'll be going to a good place. Whimsey Wood's farm sounds like the perfect spot for him to stir up some new adventures.
Well, we will take good care of him, that is for sure. Wilma has already got plans. She is talking about letting him roam, giving him space to stretch those legs. And who knows, maybe he will teach the other animals a thing or two. But, Dan, I gotta ask, how in the world did you end up with a pig named Not Bacon?
That was my youngest boy. Name is Sasha. Thought it was funny, like he was saving him from the butcher's block or something. And well, the name stuck. Over time, that pig lived up to the name. He's been too smart and too tricky to end up on any plate. Guess he earned his place as Not Bacon.
Sounds like he's earned more than that. Well, if he is half as clever as you say, I will have my hands full. But do not worry. I will keep him out of too much trouble. Or at least try to.
Good luck with that. I think you will find that Pig has got a way of making things go his way, whether you like it or not. But you let me know if he gets too out of line. I'll come down and set him straight.
I will hold you to that. Dan, I have got a feeling Whimsey Wood's farm is about to get a whole lot more interesting.
Best of luck, Gus. You're gonna need it with Not Bacon on your hands.
As Gus walks away down the dusty road, a small smile tugs at the corners of his mouth. He knows Not Bacon's arrival will shake things up at Whimsey Wood's farm, but maybe that's exactly what the farm needs. It's late afternoon, and the sun is beginning to set over Whimsey Wood's farm. Gus and Wilma sit side by side on an old wooden bench near the pond. The water is calm, reflecting the orange and pink hues of the sky. Gus is whittling a piece of wood, while Wilma hums softly, watching the gentle ripples in the water.
You know, Gus, I've been thinking a lot about Not Bacon lately.
That's so. What has got you thinking about that pig now? We've already got enough animals stirring up mischief round here, honey bun.
Well, I have been talking to Hilda, and it seems that Not Bacon's been getting into more trouble than Old Hollow Farm can handle. You know how she's always had a soft spot for him, but with everything going on there, she thinks he might need a change of scenery.
Change of scenery? Sounds like she is just trying to pawn off that troublemaker on us. You really think we need a pig like him running loose around our farm, honey bun?
He's more than just a troublemaker, Gus. From what I hear, he's clever as a whip and got a real knack for outsmarting the farmhands. Besides, don't you think Whimsey Wood's farm could use a little more life? Cluck Norris and Junior have been too comfortable lately. I think Not Bacon would shake things up, in a good way.
Oh, I have no doubt he would shake things up. That is what worries me. You know how Cluck Norris thinks he is in charge around here, strutting around like he is some kind of general. How do you reckon he is gonna take to having a pig like Not Bacon around the farm, honey bun?
I think Cluck will be just fine. He could use a challenge. Maybe Not Bacon will teach him a thing or two about humility. Besides, you always say the farm could use a little more excitement. Well, here it is, sweetie.
Excitement is one thing, but a pig that is smarter than half the folks in town, that is another. What exactly do you think he is gonna do here? Honey, we have already got Junior making a mess of things every time you turn your back, and now you want to Not Bacon to the mix.
Oh, come on, sweetie. Don't pretend you're not curious. I've seen you with Junior, complaining every time he acts up, but I know you've got a soft spot for him. And I reckon it'll be the same with Not Bacon. You'll grumble, but before long, you'll be sneaking him apples just like you do with the others.
You think you know me too well? Honey bun.
I do know you, sweetie. You can act tough all you want, but I know you love this farm and every critter on it. Not Bacon will fit right in, and you know it. He's got spirit, just like this place.
You are probably right. And if I know you, you have already made up your mind. So I guess we will be getting ourselves that pig, whether I like it or not.
That's the spirit. You will see, sweetie. Not Bacon's got heart, and he will bring something special to Whimsey Woods Farm. It's all part of the adventure.
Adventure? Huh. Well, I suppose life has never been too dull around here. Might as well see what a pig like him can do. And I hear he has a nickname that it is BB that means bacon bits.
Well, where do I even start? It's me, Not Bacon, the coolest pig you'll ever meet. I've been around, seen a lot of farms, and met my fair share of humans and animals. But I have to admit, there's something special about Whimsey Woods Farm. When I first got here, I didn't know what to expect. Now, I can confidently say I've found my place, and let me tell you, it's quite the adventure. This farm? It's like no other, and the characters here? They're a whole lot of fun. Let me give you the full scoop. Whimsey Woods Farm, huh? This place is magic. Not in the fairy tale kind of way, no pixie dust or talking teapots. But in its own way, it's got a charm that pulls you in. I came from Old Hollow Farm, and trust me, that place was, let's say, fine. It had its perks, sure. But the walls there? Too many. The fences? Too high. And the people? Some of them were nice enough, but I felt limited. You know what I mean. Here at Whimsey Woods Farm, there's freedom in the air. I can roam, stretch my legs, and get into a bit of trouble, the fun kind, of course. There's room to breathe and think, and believe me, thinking's something I'm pretty good at. It didn't take long for me to figure out that this place was where I was meant to be. I've got the best spot under this big old oak tree, the shade is perfect, and I can keep an eye on things without getting too involved. It's my own little corner of the world. I watch everything from there, the goats messing around, the hens doing their thing, and, of course, Cluck Norris strutting around like he's the king of the barnyard. More on him later. Now, let me talk about Wilma. She's something special. Wilma's the heart of Whimsey Woods Farm, no question. She's got this way about her, like she knows everything going on without needing to say much. She's always humming to herself, keeping the farm running like a well-oiled machine. And trust me, I've tested her patience a time or two, or three. From the moment I arrived, Wilma treated me like family. No funny business with her, just good vibes and a welcoming spirit. She gave me my space, let me figure things out on my own, and didn't hover. I respect that. You'd be surprised how rare that is. Most folks treat pigs like we're simple creatures, but Wilma? She's got an understanding. She knows I've got brains, and she lets me use them. I'll tell you one thing, though, she's a softie when it comes to snacks. Wilma's always got something extra for me. She'll sneak me an apple core or a bit of carrot when Gus isn't looking, and she never makes a big deal about it. Just a little pat on the head, and off she goes. She doesn't play favorites, but I can tell I'm high up on her list. How could I not be? I've got charm. Now, Gus, he's a different story. Don't get me wrong, Gus is a good guy, deep down. But he's got that grumpy old man thing going on, and he's not one for sugarcoating anything. The first time I met him, I could tell he wasn't too thrilled about having me around. He gave me the old side eye and muttered something like, "Another mouth to feed, huh?" Classic Gus. But here's the thing about Gus, he's tough on the outside, but I know there's a soft heart in there somewhere. He pretends like he doesn't care, but I've seen him sneaking extra food my way when he thinks no one's looking. He'll grumble about it, sure, but I know he's warming up to me. He likes to act like he's in control, like he's the one calling the shots around here, but the truth is, Wilma's got him wrapped around her little finger, and he knows it. I think Gus respects me in his own way. I mean, how could he not? I've got brains, I've got charm, and I know how to get what I want without causing too much of a fuss. I play it cool, and Gus seems to appreciate that. We've got an understanding, I think. He grumbles, I keep my head down, and we both know who's really running the show around here. Hint, it's me. Ah, Sunflower. She's the resident daydreamer here at Whimsey Woods. Sunflower is the horse, and let me tell you, she's got a way of looking off into the distance like she's thinking about deep, philosophical stuff. But here's the thing, Sunflower doesn't say much. She just exists in the calmest, most serene way possible. I admire her for it. I'm always on the go, always thinking, always planning my next move. But Sunflower? She's content just being. She's got this big, golden coat that glows in the sunlight, and when she's out grazing or napping under the trees, you can't help but feel like everything's right in the world. She's always watching, though. Don't let that peaceful exterior fool you. She knows what's going on. I've caught her giving me a knowing look when I'm up to something, like she's in on the joke. She's smart, too, in her own quiet way. She doesn't need to prove it, though. She's just there, steady and reliable, and that's more than enough. Now, Junior. This mule's got some character. If you ever want to see stubborn in action, just spend 5 minutes with Junior. He's got a mind of his own, and when he sets it to something, there's no changing it. Trust me, I've tried. Junior's always doing things his way. If there's a path, he'll find the hardest, most complicated way to walk it. It's like he's trying to prove something, to who, I don't know, but I guess that's just his thing. He's always causing a ruckus, whether it's knocking over feed buckets or refusing to go where he's supposed to. Honestly, it's kind of entertaining watching Gus try to handle him. If Gus thought I was going to be the troublemaker, he clearly forgot about Junior. But, you know what? I like Junior. He's got spirit. He doesn't take orders from anyone, and I can respect that. Sometimes I'll see him out in the pasture, staring down a fence like he's thinking about breaking through, and I can't help but root for him. He might be stubborn, but he's got guts, and I can appreciate that in a fellow farm resident. Now, let's get to the real character on the farm, Cluck Norris. This rooster thinks he's the toughest guy around. He's always puffing out his chest, crowing at the crack of dawn, making sure everyone knows he's in charge. It's amusing, really. I mean, I get it, he's got a job to do, and he takes it seriously. But sometimes I think he forgets he's just a rooster. Cluck's got this whole tough guy act going on, and the other animals buy into it. The hens follow him around like he's some kind of hero, and even the goats steer clear when he's in a mood. But me? I see right through it. Don't get me wrong, Cluck's got some guts. I've seen him chase off a fox or two, and he's definitely got the whole farm protector thing down. But at the end of the day, he's still just a bird with feathers. We've got an interesting dynamic, me and Cluck. He struts around like he's running the place, but I let him have his fun. I'm not looking to challenge him. I play it cool, stay in my lane, and let Cluck think he's the big shot. But between you and me? If it ever came down to it, I could outsmart him in a heartbeat. He's got the bravado, sure, but I've got the brains. Still, there's a part of me that respects Cluck. He's good at what he does, and he keeps things in order. We might not see eye to eye, but we've got an understanding. I let him have his spotlight, and he leaves me to my own devices. It works for us. So, what's life like for a cool pig like me at Whimsey Woods Farm? Well, it's pretty great, if I do say so myself. Every day's an adventure. Whether it's sneaking into the garden for a snack, watching Junior try to out stubborn Gus, or just lounging under the oak tree with the breeze in my snout, there's always something going on here on the farm.